Welcome to the first Melbourne Xamarin Blazor Meetup of the year. Not January, February. We normally take January off. So yeah, thanks for joining us. My name's Kim. I have my good friend Rod here. And so say hi, Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Hi, Rod. With Rod and myself and Lachlan, who can't make it here tonight, we run the Melbourne Xamarin and Blazor Meetup. So yeah, welcome. And for anyone new here, especially big welcome. And a big welcome to 2021. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much better than 2020. Even though, as we speak tonight, those of us in Melbourne are still in lockdown until 12 o'clock tonight, I think. But yeah, this year we're still going to continue doing our meetups online and virtually as well, probably for the foreseeable future. And hopefully, as Melbourne moves out of lockdown, hopefully we're going to get an opportunity to have a few in-person events as well. But we'll see how we go. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat window if you haven't already, particularly if you're new. Before we get started, I should thank our sponsors. So the first sponsor is Melbourne App Development, which is actually Rod's company. So Rod provides us with the streaming infrastructure that we have here. Rod, did you want to give a plug for your company? I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so you have put me on the spot. So we're actually doing a lot of work at the moment with converting desktop apps to cloud apps, and using the Blazor technology, which is really quite exciting actually. And once that there, we usually end up building mobile apps for those clients. So if anyone wants any conversion of desktop apps to mobile apps, certainly give us a call.
Beautiful, beautiful. And our other sponsor is Microsoft. So normally Microsoft provides us with the physical space in which we meet, but not at the moment, but hopefully we'll get back there at some point. Now, just to start off the year, I'd just like to remind people or ask people, if you want to present at the meetup, just let Rod or Lachlan or myself know. So maybe you've got like a technology you're working on, or a cool project, or a library, or you've been sort of spending a bit of time deep diving into a particular technology. Feel free to hit us up for a presentation. Might be a long presentation or just a lightning talk. It doesn't really matter. But it'd be really great to have people join us as some new presenters as well. So it's a really good opportunity to basically just share your knowledge and meet people as well. Okay, so for those of you who haven't joined us before, normally how we run these meetups is we start off with a presentation or two, and then we have a bit of a virtual drinks afterwards. Well, normally we have real physical drinks, but in this case, we're going to have virtual drinks. But it's a really good time to sort of network and ask questions, share any problems, and just sort of fish around for ideas as well. So stick around after the presentation. But for now, I think we're going to head over to our presenter, and this is Michael Whitehead, who looks pretty different from his photo, as Rod said earlier on. And he's going to be talking about a topic I know absolutely nothing about. So this is all about jailbreaking and root protection on mobile devices. I didn't even know jailbreaking was still a thing. I thought that was a thing of the past, but apparently not. And of course, Android. I think everyone hacks their Android devices. So as we go through, feel free to hop in the chat, ask any questions. Rod and I will go and have a look at the questions, and we'll forward them on to Michael. But without further ado, Michael, how about you introduce yourself and get cracking?
All right. Hey guys. Didn't really organize much in terms of the introduction. So been doing Xamarin for a while, been doing mobile development or the whole structure of mobile for a while as well, I guess 7-8 years worth. Spare time, I enjoy writing shell scripts, and bash scripts and things like that. I've got some cool little projects going where I play with DevOps and get the whole process of setting DevOps down to under a minute. So basically I've got no life. with this whole thing that I'm about to show you, basically, I was bored one day and decided to start looking into various types of hacking for mobile because at the point in time, I was relatively competent with a lot of the different APIs, and I was just curious as to see what would happen if I tried to attack an app rather than build one. So then I was put into a new company, and the first ticket they asked me to do was security. So I ended up getting paid to do this, which was even better than what I originally thought. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Unfortunately, I have left this to the last minute, and the device that I was going to use to do this presentation for went flat and kind of screwed everything up, but that's all right. So basically, security. I don't understand why you need it. I understand the value it could offer, but end of the day, from the research I've been doing, it basically looks like you're going to lose this game against a hacker because they've got all the time in the world with your app and you don't have all the time in the world to fight against them. Anyway, so we've got this demo hack app, and if we have a look at the code, get rid of that. Basically, this is only going to be a demo for iOS. There is code for Android that I was playing with, but I just wanted to make this short and quick. What we're going to go through is general practices, ways to make your code stronger than the average security checks, and yeah, just a bit of an understanding around the whole process. So first up, we've got our iOS project. We'll go through just the basics here. So we've got a standard Xamarin app. It will take us to a main page, and this main page has some various triggers to run checks on the iOS device to determine whether or not it's jailbroken. And this is normally pretty standard code when you're looking for jailbreak detection or SSL pinning. This doesn't have SSL pinning, but the rest of the code's pretty straightforward off the internet. You can go, the first thing you search on Stack Overflow would be something very similar to this. So we've got a service here, and the first thing you'll note is all these paths. So long story short, there are a bunch of apps: Cydia, Black Rain, Fake Carrier. These are all pretty common .app files that can be found on the system. The idea around this is that hypothetically, if the device ever was in rooted mode or admin mode, then we should be able to search for these applications. And if we can do such a thing, then generally it means the phone's jailbroken. And from that point, you do what you want to do. For the company I'm working with, as well as another company that I'm in talks with, the idea is that once a jailbroken phone has been detected, we chuck up a screen that says jailbroken phone, you can't use this software, and we effectively shut the user out of the system. But there are ways around all this. So first up, we'll just go through some of the basics. So we've got things like check file permissions, where you are able to, not normally, but you're able to write to a location that you normally wouldn't be able to on a normal device. And the main structure you're going to be seeing here is we're going to attempt to do something. If on a normal device that throws an exception, which it generally should, it'll be caught down here. But if we're able to do all the things we need to, we will throw this jailbreak exception to basically return it back up to where we want to handle it. We've got, oh, just lost it. Check for file permissions. Whoops, no, did I just do that one? Yeah, I did, okay. So we've got things like protocol handlers. Cydia always offers some sort of deep link that you're able to call. I'm not entirely sure whether Apple actually allows an application to go through the App Store for this. So definitely pre-warning that this might not be the best option for you. But once again, the idea is if we're able to, why have I done that? If we're able to do this can open URL call, then we throw the exception. Let's get rid of that. Don't know why that's there. Enumerate directories, enumerate files, pretty standard stuff. Check directory exists. So this kind of code down here, check whether a directory or a file exists. They basically pass in those paths that we saw up above, checks whether we can verify that they exist, and then throw an exception. So this, apart from the throw exception part, this is all pretty standard vanilla stuff that you can find on any Stack Overflow or anyone's blog. Got some other things here, but they're just test stuff. So,
Michael,
yes.
Just interrupt there. There's a question here. Can just a bit of background? Why do people jailbreak their devices? Do you want to give a bit of background there?
Yeah, sure. So at first I had no clue either, because you're getting rid of a lot of great security features. So why would you? If we go into Cydia here, I mean, I'm still very cautious about it myself, but there are definitely going to be advantages if I can play around with it a bit more. Basically, you've got all these different libraries that you can start importing into your device. So I've got this Frida hacking thing here, but you can do things like SSH connections to play around with the whole system on the phone. You could potentially set up a DNS server that does something special. There's quite a lot of options. You can potentially hack gaming applications and mess around with those.
Could I possibly access an app's credit card access or anything like that? Is that possible?
Credit card access. So
if I wrote an app that accessed a credit card, could I, by jailbreaking, mess with that, or what benefit would I get?
Yes, that's the problem, because it's your own phone. There's not a lot of value. The one situation I could think where it could be beneficial is if, say, I wanted to hack a bunch of people, I would go buy a bunch of the relatively new phones, sell them relatively cheap on Gumtree or whatever, jailbreak them prior to sending them out, and also hide all those system files from the user, so the user actually thinks it's a brand new device when really it's a jailbroken device. And then one concept could be that I could have it all connected up to a central system where I can send out shell scripts or whatever to those devices, and then you can start doing things like key logging, or you could listen out for applications that are installed on those devices, so that if you do have a hacked version of that app, you could bundle it up, switch it out with the real one, and then mess with that user that way. There's things you can do, but at the end of the day, it's really on the person who has the device, apart from that situation when they didn't know. Yeah, so there are things, but I don't know, the more to do with the operating system rather than a specific application, if that answers the question.
So there's a couple of comments here. can you see the comments there, Michael? So there's
I
jailbreak to remove ads from a device. You can run free apps that are distributed outside the App Store. Access files from other apps on your device. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep. So, but yeah, basically jailbreaking and rooting are the idea that you give yourself admin permission. So you can do whatever you want, same as what you do on your PC.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, so we've got all these various checks that we can do. Running this code looks a little bit like, actually, maybe I'll just run it. Hopefully it doesn't crash. So what I've got here is just a page. The top area basics are things that I've seen done many times online. These are also, funnily enough, everything that's posted online, the hackers have access to as well. So the moment you go and copy a security script of whatever to use in your device, that security code is already, what's it called? Basically, someone's written some hacking code to bypass whatever that code is that you've just copied and pasted. So effectively copying and pasting off the internet is pretty useless. So yeah, file exists, run the, try to click that. If we get red, it means it's a jailbroken device. Blue means it's a normal device, a normal thrown exception, and then green means there's no problem. Unfortunately for me, one of these APIs doesn't work very well. So you can see the file permission one wasn't written properly. But so the Cydia protocol handler acknowledges, so we're getting a positive result there. If we go back to there we go, Cydia, and you can see it's been able to open it. So we try and throw that exception. File exists. Going to be one of these. Maybe that one. Cool. So this one's going to run through that list of paths of things. We check whether that file exists. So Cydia app does exist, so we're going to throw that exception. Yeah, and that's the basics of security, the basic security checking that you can normally copy and paste off Overflow. So the next part was kind of where I screwed up. I let a phone go flat and then had to reinstall everything, and it's not working properly, but I'll show you the basic idea anyway. So there is this great tool called Frida. The guy who wrote it also wrote, I believe, is it Code Spy or something? Yeah, not sure on the name. But he's a pretty switched on fella. So what we've got is we've got this tool called Frida, and Frida is a piece of software. So most hacking, from what I understand, there is an on entry and an on exit for everything. So game hacking, this sort of hacking, just quite literally everything, listens to an on entry and an on exit. The idea behind that is that the hacker themselves can inject code around your code and return a result that you aren't expecting. So if we look back at here and we go, say this check file thing, we saw it run, we saw it get to the, not this one, we saw it get to the jailbreak exception and it was thrown. What a hacker can do effectively is listen out for a file exists API call. And if the API call happens to be one of those URIs that we have that we're trying to check, instead of returning true here, they can override that result and return false. So effectively bypassing this jailbreak detection. Same thing for the cydia call with the open URL and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Real pain if you're a developer. Going back to the card question as well, I don't know much about it for Android, but I do know that Samsung have their own level of security. And the moment you root a Samsung device, you effectively give up your ability to store credit cards on their credit card system thing. So that's kind of a cool little thing. But also you ruin a device doing so. So pros and cons. What was I going to show you? Oh, yes. So we've got this thing called Frida, and Frida has a lot of different cool tools that we can use. So Frida PS is a script to basically, sorry, I'll go back a step. So we've got Frida server running on our machine here, and sorry, we've got Frida running on a machine here. We've got Frida server running on the device itself, and those two things are communicating to each other. Frida PS allows you to listen out for all processes that are running. So you can get the process ID and the name. You've then got cool little things like Frida kill, which if past one of those process IDs will end that process altogether. So that's pretty neat. There's also Frida trace. Oops, trace, which I hope I've got on here. Yeah, so Frida trace, that allows you to listen out for URLs or quite literally anything. So the idea with Frida trace is you pass in the API that you want to listen to. So if we go, right, Frida. Nope. So if we go to this fancy website and we go trace, here's a great example. So basically you can trace on the Safari app itself. What's this one doing? Insert library names and login. Trace. Let's just give it a go. And what have we got? Frida trace decorate. No. I'm really worried about opening up web browsers. All right, cool. So it's found the process and it's now attaching itself to it. So as you can see, we can start listening out for different things. So google.com. Nothing? Oh, that's a shame. Sure. No, that's not doing what I thought it would. Must have broken. So yeah, this is the problem that I've had all day today. So basically I've screwed up somewhere and one of the libraries either on the device or locally is not working. So what can we do now? So we've got some scripts that I've copied and pasted offline, which also don't work, which is great. Don't know it off the top of my head. Come on, there it is. Right, so this particular CLI is quite powerful. It basically allows us to inject our own code either as we go or pre-build. Some people online say you need to run your jailbreak detection as soon as possible. in order to stop users from using Frida to do code injection. That doesn't really matter from what I can tell, because Frida basically stops everything prior. So this script says using Frida, using this device ID, which we don't actually have to use. So let's get rid of it. If I can do. No, that's fine. I'm just going to run it. So basically use the device ID and then target the application itself. There are other Frida tools that allow you to find out the app names for everything on the device. And then we're just going to load up this jailbreak.javascript file that I've got locally. Oh yeah. Try that again. So basically right now it's holding the app in a paused state. So it's opened it up, but it hasn't actually started running anything. So this bypasses that whole try to do detection before the Frida can get involved. If we get % resume, we should effectively start the app. Really wish I hadn't upgraded all these libraries. Try again. Okay, so right now we're currently hooked into this app. The scripts I was just fooling around with before, and I've broken all of them as well, so I'm sorry about that. Basically, we can do the same calls again. I was going to show that we could bypass it all, but we can't. But as you saw just there, if I go Cydia protocols handler, that's one thing I have got semi-working. So we're basically listening out to that particular call. God, I hope it doesn't come in. Hey, I'm on the phone. Can you?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, don't leave the cat in here. Okay. So, where am I on this one? So basically, yeah, I'll show you the JavaScript. So this JavaScript can be downloaded, which from some really cool resources that I'll show you later on. But basically what it's doing is it's checking whether the device has Objective-C available. This list here, which is bigger than the list in the app that I showed previously, is something that I've just copied off a hacking website. So they're clearly more versed with what's being checked than we programmers are. Here we've got some code injector hooks. Down here is where we've got this can open URL situation going on. So there's 3 different types that I'm listening for, but only this one I believe is working. And the idea is that you've got these 2 methods, on enter and on leave. And the idea is that you pass the thing, the API, up in the attach. And then when that gets called, it passes arguments through that you can then convert into whatever you're expecting it to be. And then you can do some sort of condition to say, hey, if this is what it is, in this case, we're basically setting something to true and passing that value to the on leave, so that when it gets here, it goes, yeah, this jailbreak thing has been called. Let's return some value that is the opposite of the value that the application was originally expecting. For some reason, don't know why, I'm assuming it's my Python, but this doesn't work for me. But yeah, up here we've got lib systems. So another thing too, code obfuscation. A lot of people say it's great. Other people don't know what it is. For those who don't, it's basically takes all your code, or the majority of your code, and it makes it relatively unreadable to someone who is trying to look at your code after the DLL has been compiled. With hacking, seems that that doesn't really matter to a lot of hackers because end of the day, they don't have to look at the APIs you've written. They just have to look at the APIs on the system that you are likely using behind the scenes. So this lib system, bdlib, the stat64 and stat, from what I understand, that is basically the library to read a file if a file is on your system or not. So when we were doing that file exists, that's basically more or less what this is. So what this code is doing is it's basically going, all right, give me that list of files that could be searched for. If it's one of the files that we're after, then print out something and return true. So that on leave, if that becomes true, we want to return the value. We want to return the return value of false rather than true because we don't want them to get a good result. We want them to get a false positive. So those are the two lib systems. Yeah. So that's all that. If I undo a bunch, because I was messing around with this. Hopefully you can see it. No, okay, bugger it. So if we go to Frida, code share. So this Frida code share is a really cool resource. And this is where the concept of hacking can come from for someone who knows little to no, has little to no knowledge of it. So you can come in here and you can start looking for anti-whatever. So you got Frida anti-root, iOS data protection. There's some servers for things. There is SSL stuff. Yeah, universal Android SSL. Don't think there's a search option, or at least I've never logged in. There should be a Xamarin one somewhere as well. So basically, a bunch of people upload all their code and you can download it. So as you see here, this is probably one of the ones that I copied, put into my own script. You don't have to, you can actually just run effectively this script if you've got Frida, and it will run it from the server for you. Yeah, so this looks like exactly like the one I was using. So that's how simple it is to hack a mobile application for the average person. When I was given the security task, originally I thought, oh, all I have to do is put in jailbreak detection and it will be fine. It was until I read the ticket that it said, oh no, sorry, it was when I saw the code that I realized that all this code was already in there and that the pen testers had effectively gone to this website, copied and pasted what was on here, ran it on their system, proved that they could break the system, and didn't tell us any of this. They just said, hey, we can break your stuff. So it was up to me to effectively make it harder for hackers to hack. So yeah, the stuff that I'm about to show you, I think proper professional hackers could still hack it. I think the average Joe like myself, who's just come on here and copied and pasted these files, would still struggle quite a lot to bypass these things, but a proper hacker could still very easily bypass it. Oh, so, such a shame I can't show you the demo. The thing that I did, and here's where it gets a bit odd as well. So basically I had a bit of a sit down, a bit of a think about it. And the problem was that they were able to bypass this can open URL. They were able to bypass the check file permissions. They could bypass the check directory and check file exists using those dlib things back here. So these two. And that was all good. It just meant that I had to think about it in a different light. And so I had to start thinking, normally what programmers will do is they'll go, okay, got to make it harder, got to start going into ptrace and things like that. So C libraries that allow you to listen to system calls and effectively listen to whether or not code has been injected around your code. That is a option, and okay, I captured the code, damn it. That is an option. You can do things like ptrace, which allows a developer to check if a application is being debugged effectively. The problem with that is that, once again, hackers know about that sort of thing, and there's quite a lot of resources online for that particular situation as well. Yeah, so this is a good one. So this one listens out for fork. It can listen out for ptrace somewhere, lstat. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, even though it's really hard for a programmer potentially to create a ptrace, which again, from iOS, you're not allowed to do, there are ways around it, but you could have a developer spend a good couple of days trying to figure out a solution. And all a hacker needs to do is come in here, copy this, paste it into their thing, and all your efforts are in vain. So when I approached this task, I had to think about all the APIs that were currently available to me and think about ways that I could use them that were different to what I was seeing in this hacking world. And what I came up with, for iOS at least, was this enumerate directories and enumerate files. What it does is this API calls, basically gets a string array of files or folders within the path that's passed into it, makes it into a string array here, and then instead of doing a .exists API call, which seems to be quite popular, we just do a .any. And what I found with that was, when I was testing it with the code share code, none of the code share codes was picking up on this style of jailbreak detection. The same could not be said about Android, because Android has problems when you use this. So for Android, there was another way to do it. But again, I wasn't trying to use the file exists approach. I just had to look at different outputs from different APIs using the system.io for the majority of it. And basically try and figure out ways where I could still find out if the system was broken without using the standard calls, if that makes sense to people. So yeah, so that basically hardened the app. Yeah, I think that's more or less me.
So Michael, what I don't understand is, if you're trying to detect jailbreaking and stop people circumventing it. So if you had this kind of detection in your program, and a hacker tried to do jailbreak detection, they'll be able to see the message that says, hey, you've jailbroken this phone. Surely they would then be looking for stuff like this, wouldn't they? To be able to detect, to be able to see how you've determined whether this is jailbroken. It's like putting up a red flag saying, you tried to circumvent the jailbreak, you couldn't. Oh, I better have a look at this app to find out how they've done it.
Yeah, so sorry, I was trying to get my headphones connected. Ah, come on, headphones. Oh, today it's not going well for me. Yes, so that is a problem. And again, kind of as I said at the start, as far as I'm aware, there's more or less no point in trying to fight against hackers, particularly people who already have jailbroken phones or rooted devices. They'll circumnavigate it. There are ways where it's very easy. Apple Configurator, for example, is a tool that you can download from the App Store. Interesting. I haven't opened this for a while. But what this allows you to do is go into your apps, find whatever app you're interested in, say, let's grab this one. How do I do it? There's a way. Okay, no, I'll just ignore it for now. But this allows you to go into your system, copy any of these .app files, move them over to your system, and then you've got all the time in the world to look at the info plist, the DLLs, if there are DLLs. Basically, the hacker's got all the time in the world to look at your code if they want to. So this particular security thing that I worked on was more of a prevention to stop the average Joe hacker from being able to hack. Yeah,
it's like obfuscation. You just making it as hard as possible, or as right.
Yeah,
got it.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I had quite a long think about this, and my end result was, yeah, if they want to get into your app, they're going to get into your app. So the best you can do is make sure that your APIs are all secure, that anything that's like a secret, if you're storing secrets on your application, then you really should get rid of them, because it's very easy to get a hold of those keys. Same goes for anything you're putting in secure storage. It's not secure on a jailbroken device. So even if it's important and you store it in secure storage, and you think that's going to be safe, someone with a jailbroken device will get access to that key. So again, avoid doing anything like putting a secure key or anything on the device with the phone. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to show, unfortunately. God, I really should have even recorded myself doing it. Yeah, no.
You want to open it up to questions there, Michael?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
So if anyone's got any questions, just jump off mute and ask Michael straight ahead. That's not going to cause bedlam.
Michael, as far as I can tell, what you're really trying to do, right, with this is you want to be able to detect if your app is running on a jailbroken device, right, or a rooted device, then you just shut down all functionality, right? But if you're doing insecure things in your application, then someone can still get to them anyway, right? But the idea is, if you know the device is dodgy, you just and you have a secure app, an app you want to be secure, you just sort of say, okay, I'm not playing on this device. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So say when I did this security check situation, I was able to hack the app pre my code, and then post my code, I was going through all the through those documents trying to hack even what I did, and I was finding it difficult. So the only way I could truly hack it is if I sat down and had a good think about how to bypass that sort of thing. There's another guy that is at working on a different company for a saver app. I don't really know what the app is exactly, but he's also implemented jailbreak detection, and he spent, I think he said, a month or so on it. And he was quite positive that it was going to be safe. And we did a phone call, and I was telling him about all my stuff. And then he said, oh, just download my app. Just see if you can bypass it. And I was like, yep, sure. So I ran the exact same script without looking at his code. I don't know anything about the app at all. And I bypassed it instantly. So that led to further discussions, and then a misunderstanding that he thought I was a pen tester. So I had to clear that up, because that doesn't sound like fun.
But really, you were just a script kiddie, right?
Sorry, say that again?
I said, really, you were just a script kiddie running a script.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Nothing wrong with scripts. Scripts are great.
Scripts are great.
Especially if you.
One of our clients at the moment got a penetration testing team to come and do a pen test on the mobile app. they were developing, and they insisted that we put Jailbreak on. So what I did was I went to the internet, and actually I didn't, but Navod did. Went to the internet, grabbed one of these tools, compiled it, built it, ran it built it into our app, and that was fine. Then we gave it to the penetration testers, and they said, "Oh, yeah, that's secure." It's like, oh boy. So I says, but the other thing that really surprised me was, so the penetration testers couldn't do what you're suggesting here, bypass jailbreak detection. But the other thing that I did realize was that this particular client, there's no reason to jailbreak the app, jailbreak detect the app, because there's nothing on the app that would cause a problem. It was more a principle thing. It was more that, you know, the board wanted to know whether it was secure, the app. And so they had to tick a box to say it was secure and that it was jailbroken. There was a lot of that. And I guess my point is that the reason why people do jailbreak detection is probably not valid to start off with.
Yeah, that's generally the case. In terms of pen testers as well, without trying to dog people in too much, from my experience, I've dealt with a few companies now. To put it nicely, from what I've seen, they basically read a script, and that's how they do their testing. So if they couldn't bypass your jailbreak detection, I wouldn't be surprised. I've worked for a company where that occurred, and I thought it was odd that we had to turn off jailbreak detection just so that they could get past it. And that detection that we had implemented was very similar to all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't have high opinions of pen testers. I have higher opinions of hackers because they seem to sit down and actually figure out systems and how to bypass them. So, yeah, the whole checker box is pretty common from what I can tell.
So has anyone else on the line got experience with jailbreak detection or actually implemented something like this that can, or has a question of Michael?
Not me.
Not me.
I've put a number of similar things in, and yeah, they're very similar to what Michael's got there, and also come across external security companies doing pen testing, asking for jailbreak detection to be turned off, which kind of defeated the object to an extent.
So Alec, have you actually done any jailbreak? If you put jailbreak detection in your apps?
Yes, yeah, I've done this a number of times, and it's a moving target. I've looked at using external companies to provide this service kind of injected into your code. There was one in the US back in 2016. I forget the name of it. Who had a really thorough approach. They'd go right down to injecting jailbreak detection, but you could randomize when it was called so that if someone was trying to hack it, then you couldn't always see the app behaving in the same way. But then about a year after that, they stopped supporting Xamarin, which is a shame. I've not seen anything external tools that thorough since, so I'm having to do the same manually.
Right.
So Alec, it brings up an interesting point. So back in the old days where PlayStations were being hacked with these chips, and people were going around hacking these various games, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, all that jazz. Generally, the majority of them implemented some form of anti-hack detection, which was easily bypassed by people, which was great for the rest of the world. One case in particular was quite interesting. So it was actually Spyro, I think Year of the Dragon or Gateway to Glimmer, one of the two, maybe Gateway. What the developers did there was they effectively didn't do any jailbreak detection at all. at the start. And so they allowed users, well, I mean, I think they did a bare minimum jailbreak detection at the very start, and then they allowed users to play the first 2 levels or so. And then at the end of the second level, as you tried to go through to the third level, there was a bit of jailbreak detection that occurred that stopped the app from working altogether. So it actually screwed over a lot of hackers who had gone hack the app, because generally what hackers would do is they would hack the app to bypass it, play 1 or 2 levels, go, oh, yeah, good enough, and then ship it out to people. And what Spyro did was they were like, well, we're just going to override what we think you guys are doing. And that's what they did. And it was pretty good. I mean, they still got hacked in the end, but it did delay the game from being hacked for I don't know, a couple more weeks or something, which was quite amusing. So yeah, the time thing, I even suggested to the company I'm working for, and they were like, no, we just want it to detect it straight away. I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
So Michael, are you doing any, is this, yeah, you doing any much more of this, or is this just a once-off exercise?
Well, Rod, I'm definitely going to be looking at a few of your apps in the future. So you're welcome. It's not a once off for me. For the time being, it is. The kind of coding I'm doing is messing around with system files and how things like Rosalyn are built and pre and post build scripts and things like that. So this ties in relatively well with what I seem to be pursuing anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if a year or 2 down the track, I'm looking at what's it called? Machine code, or something of that nature. That seems to be the direction I'm heading at this stage. So no, this isn't a once off, but right now, this is where I'm leaving it at.